Hello, it's Simone. I have a scrapbooking process video with the Amy Tangerine on a Whim collection again. This time I'm scrapbooking these three photos of my husband and my son. And when I saw this sketch in the current Scrapbooking and Cards Today magazine, I thought I could use and adapt this to my photos. So this is my copy of the sketch, my idea. And yeah, and now I'm working on auditioning several photos and making decisions like, do I want to mat my photos on white cardstock or not? In the beginning, I decide not to go with a white backing, but I will change it out during the process. And this is a photo of my son and my husband when they were working on a Lego set together several years ago. And right now my son is 12 and he is very very much in puberty, and there's sometimes it's getting better, but those two didn't really get along very well the past year. And so when I saw those photos, I really loved seeing them together, and it was a great reminder for me, and I hope for them when they see the photo, that they actually were able to work together and that they have a lot of things in common, and maybe it will be like this one day again. Okay, so when I chose my photos and my papers, I loved the way this paper went with those photos. I wasn't sure how to use them, and I actually wasn't sure how to use three photos on a layout. So when I came across that sketch, I thought, oh man, that's cool. That I could adapt this sketch to my photos. I knew that it was going to be a lot bigger so that it wouldn't really look like it in the end. And what you just saw was that I actually had thought about using one of those large bluish papers as the background, but that just didn't look good. The photos almost went lost on the background and also the mat, and so I have to change my plans, and I went with white cardstock for the background, and then I'm looking for papers that would contrast more with the green. I like the word paper, however, there's so much words in the embellishments that I wouldn't have any embellishments left to work with without overloading my layout with words. That is one of the things that I really don't like about this collection. There's so many words in this collection, and not a lot of general basic embellishments that you can use to build clusters and stuff. And I really like making clusters, so I'm not someone to stick down an embellishment randomly. Maybe I should try that for the next layout. Yeah, so then I had the raindrop layout. Paper, I auditioned that, but I really love that paper. Maybe that's why I didn't use it. And the sunglasses paper, and sorry, I have to interrupt here. I have to tell you what I did here. I wasn't sure if I was going to use the paper and just stick it underneath, or if I would take the cut apart sheet and just put it down and have it go from the green to the green, yellow green to the red or orange at the bottom. And I looked at both options, and I really liked it better when the colors were more closely connected, if that makes sense. Yeah, let me know. I wouldn't have minded using the red sunglasses because the paper is so far out of my comfort zone that I am not sure where and when I'm going to use this again. So if it was just underneath there, I wouldn't have minded at all. Then I'm thinking about using the black grit paper as a frame for the whole layout, because I also liked the black but it would have cut off too much of the sunglasses, and then the stripe wouldn't have been so noticeable, and so I decided against that. And then I decide to bring in the black, because that really goes nicely with the whole layout, and use kind of the best as my title. Now I'm auditioning all of the embellishment pieces. As I said before, there's words all over this, and that really makes it hard to create embellishment clusters without words. And I'm not a fan of having words and words and words and words. I mean, I want to journal and tell the story, but for me, not all of the embellishment clusters need words. And then there is like really huge embellishments or donuts, yeah, donuts don't really work there. So yeah, while I am auditioning all of these things, you see stuff that I get into the inner circle will be thrown on the page, and then I start working with it. There were some papers from the 6x6 paper pad that I thought would work really nicely to make embellishment clusters, and so those were also thrown on the layout. Now, I didn't use the rainbow paper from the beginning because even though I like it so much, the raindrops would have been lost. You wouldn't have noticed what they are, and it just didn't work as well as I would have hoped, because I would have liked to use the raindrops as well. But now I think those sunglasses work really well, and I'm not disappointed that I wasn't able to use them, that I used those on this layout. Okay, now since I have a very heavy black title, I think I need to bring in some black at the top, and I chose this embellishment that says something with awesome, but the green just really gets lost there. So I find another awesome in black, which works perfect to balance out the black title. And so this is what I'm going to use here. And yeah, for my next layout next week, I decided to go into my stash of die cuts and look for neutral. That's what I was thinking. Neutral embellishments that are a little bit easier to use to make clusters with. Because taco trucks, I don't know. And chill, yeah, I'd love to use the chill if it works, but then what else should I use if there is love this and chill and worth it, and then, yeah, okay, enough said about this collection. I really like that it forces me to go out of my comfort zone. As you can see here, I did a little bit of clustering at the top left, and now I'm bringing in the same pieces of patterned paper to the bottom, to my title, and because I really like repetition and building clusters with the same kinds of elements. I think that is what really ties a layout together very easily. There's not a lot of artistic knowledge to be that you need to know. Just if you have a pattern paper and you put it to the top and you have an embellishment cluster, it is really very easy to just bring it in the same in another embellishment cluster, and it just makes the whole thing feel more connected. That's what I do. Now I really fuzz a long time with the top cluster. I think the colors didn't pop as much as I would have liked them to pop. And yeah, I will go in a little while and add a white border to my photos. And I think that really helps this embellishment cluster to pop more and to be noticeable. It doesn't really need to dominate the whole layout. That's not what I'm trying to do here, but I just want it to be visible because I don't need an embellishment cluster if you can't see it. So yeah, okay, now again, I really fuzz a very long time with the positioning of the paper. Is it sticking out some millimeters to the left or right, or should it be shorter on the top? Should it be shorter on the bottom? Wow. And then I decide to not cut this off right now and just leave it there. And now I committed to this. Okay. Whew. That's so funny because I was really very quick in choosing the background papers and after I decided for the sunglasses and on how I would do this. But this embellishment cluster on the top left, that took a while. So now, again, as I said before, I'm bringing in the same elements as in the top cluster for my title cluster. Yeah, and you will notice later on when I work on the Love This, it's not really, you could use the Love This as a title or the Kind of the Best. I don't really care if they compete for the title. It doesn't really matter to me. They work both well as a title, and so it's okay. So I'm working on adding this label there, and I don't like the way that all of these lines end up being the same height. So that's what I'm fuzzing with right now. I'm taking it off again and trying to put it somewhere else so that none of the lines really line up, and it's staggered and looks more haphazardly, maybe. Yeah, that's probably the word. Okay, so I look at it and I'm thinking about sticking in some papers or something, and I realize I won't be able to do that, but I would really like to have a white border around this. And then I have to use 2 cardstocks because the first one I cut down too far, so there's no border left. Yeah, talk about being OCD about things. So the borders weren't the same width and I didn't like it, so I stopped the camera and didn't turn it back on because the next thing I did was I worked on my journaling, and I had to actually write it down first, find a place where I would start, because I really wanted it to sit on top of the Kind of the Best so that there was no gap, and it needed some pre-planning. Now I have a new Siren sticker maker and I really love it already. I actually bought it because I have a lot of letter stickers from 3 or 4 years ago that don't stick anymore. They fall off my pages, and for my journaling and in my planning pages, those letter stickers are so tiny that when I use my wet glue, I mess up all the pages. There's so much glue residue that, yeah, it just looks awful. So I bought it and I tried it out here for the very first time, and it worked absolutely amazing. That purchase was a really good one. So I'm really very reluctant and very hesitant to buy tools, but this tool is very helpful. So yay for buying helpful tools. And yes, you see correctly, there is no T. Somewhere along the line of using the sticker maker, of adding 2 pieces of white cardstock to my background, the T got lost. But don't despair. I am going to use sacrifice the die cut for a template, and I just cut out a T from the embellishment. I would have loved to use there is a patterned paper in the 6x6 paper pad and on the 12 by 12 paper, but the pattern looks the same scale, but it's more green. It doesn't fit in, so I had to sacrifice the die cut for the tea. And yes, naturally, when I cleaned up the whole thing, I found the tea. Now I'm adding a date stamp and I'm putting it on this clear sticker, and so I'm using my StazOn ink because I know that it will dry. And I actually really like StazOn ink, and so there's no problem for me using that here. Now I'm thinking about adding some embellishments. In the sketch in the beginning, there were embellishments to the right of the Love This. Well, it wasn't, it was an embellishment cluster, and there were some small, like, enamel dots, and I thought maybe I could use the hearts here and add some clusters. And I just actually end up making only one of those clusters, I think. I went back in. I don't know if it's in the photos or not, but I went back in and changed the hearts around again because I just didn't really like what they looked like. And I swapped out the sunglass die cut for the clear sticker die cut because I just liked it more. It was more subtle on the page, and that is what I went with. Oh yeah, you can see it. The hearts are changed. There's one on the top and a cluster of 3 on the bottom cluster. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy doing these process videos. See you next time. Bye!